AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Goodwood and Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sure? And Mr. Toby Tomplay. We're here, glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Both Tyler Shough and Mickey Loomis met with reporters at different times today on Wednesday, and both at different times discussed this receiver class in the draft. We're going to get to that in about 15 minutes from right now. Baseball Tigers got back in the win column on Tuesday night. They beat UNO 10-7. It was competitive early. UNO got up 2-0. LSU tied it. UNO added 2 more. LSU had a 7-run fifth inning. They were up big, and then UNO put up a couple runs on Gavin Guidry in the ninth to make it look a little closer than it was at that point. But nonetheless, LSU needed a win. They got back in the win column. If you're following these sorts of things, I mean, after losing 7 of 8, LSU had lost 7 of 8. I'm going to say that again slowly. LSU had lost 7 of 8. It feels good just to win a game. Their RPI goes from 63 to 63, up 3 spots from 66 to 63 after last night. It's one of the things we've talked about. Listen, everyone keeps having the conversation about RPI, and it's true. Like, your RPI has to be better. You got a dozen games left in conference play. 9 of the 12 are going to be against top 30 RPI teams. So you have plenty of opportunity to boost your RPI if you win games. But you got to go win games on the weekend. So we'll see if they can do that. In the meantime, for Jay Johnson, he did obviously confirm Jake Brown's injury and talked a little bit about it in the postgame.
I have a lot of favorite players of all time. He's easily one of the favorite players of all time. That athleticism, everybody can see it. The competitiveness, everybody can see it. The character, I see that. And it's hard to put all those things like in one player. And that's who Jake Brown is. And then, he was good enough to make a contribution, a 43-win team, as a freshman, and evolved into, in my opinion, one of our most valuable players on the national championship team. Several huge hits in the postseason. And still he had the humility with his quality of player as he was to embrace, platooning a little bit. He started almost 50 games. I never thought of him that way, but he did that. And then was a leader, for this team, and I'm proud of his development. I can't say enough good things about him. That was a gut punch. Not just forget the production for the team, but that dude means a lot to me, and not the way you want a career of that caliber to end. The first question he asked me is, can I continue to travel? And I was like, coach third base if you want to. I love him, and that was a gut punch.
Jake Brown did post a photo on his social media earlier today, apparently post-operative. You can see on the right hand, he's got the cast there, the wrap on the right hand from his hospital room. So had that hamate bone surgery, and we wish Jake Brown all the best in his very speedy recovery. He'll be with the team the rest of the way, and hopefully we'll bring some support and leadership to the team as he's continued to do, and it'll help the Tigers in these final 4 weeks. So disappointing end to a great player's career at LSU, at least on the field. But as you heard Jay say there, that Jake Brown will be with the team for the final 4 weeks of conference play. And we'll see if they're able to get into the postseason. Now, if they do get into the postseason, they're going to have to rely on a lot of young players. That was probably the biggest storyline of Tuesday night. 3 freshmen were in the starting lineup. Jack Ruckert started at second base. William Patrick started in right for Jake Brown, and then Omar Cerna got the start as well. And all three produced. Ruckert was 2 for 3 at the plate. Patrick was 1 for 2 with a walk and was hit by a pitch. Cerna had a 2 RBI single in that 7-run fifth. It's one of the things you got to see. I mean, you went and you recruited these super talented young guys. A lot of them are going to get an opportunity. By the way, also Braun got in the game late, had a knock, so it made a beautiful play, a diving catch and left as well. So you're going to see more of these freshmen in the final month, and you hope that continues to materialize. And Jay was asked post-game if these guys performing the way they did means more playing time for them.
Yeah, we'll see. It's game by game. Like, we did everything we think we needed to do to win the game today. Obviously some pinch hits in there, and it's going to take a team effort, So just proud we got to win tonight. It's nice to score 10. That was an on the regular thing here on Tuesdays for a long time. Hasn't necessarily been the case this year, so it felt good to do that, and it did feel good that those guys contributed to it. I think they all have a place here, and they'll probably be more involved in it.
They'll need to be. York got a start last night as well. First time we've seen Zach York in a couple of weeks, at least in a starting capacity. So the Tigers going on the road now to Mississippi State this weekend. We'll see how Jay Johnson chooses to line it up. But it stands to reason that William Patrick, who got the first crack at right field with Jake Brown's injury, will continue to get more opportunities. And that's something Jay Johnson also addressed after the game. Yeah, 9.
Needs to play, needs to take advantage of this time whenever he's in there, and needs to take advantage of summer baseball. And he's got all the athletic talent and tools. He's probably the fastest player I've ever had on any team, and I've had some really good runners. And he's a great competitor, so athlete, competitor. Think about what we were just talking about with Jake Brown, has some similar characteristics to him, has some similar characteristics to Ethan Fry. So it's a good fit for, our program.
Patrick is taller than Jake Brown, not quite as filled out as Ethan Fry was by the time his career ended, but you can see the comp and the similarities, and he can fly. I mean, Jake Brown's probably the best athlete on the team. William Patrick would challenge him for that, certainly faster, as you heard Jay Johnson say there. So actually illustrated that in the game last night when he scored on a bunt. Beautiful play to evade a tag. And make sure he got his hand on the plate as he reached around the backside of the plate. So a guy that has a super high ceiling, but coming to LSU this year knew he was going to sit because of Stanfield, Curiel, Brown. There wasn't going to be a path to the field when the entire starting outfield was returning. And so some of these really talented young guys have had to operate this year with a degree of humility and wait their turn. And, we'll go back to what Jay Johnson said after the game on Friday, where he said he's not going to make some of the same mistakes in building the roster. Well, this is kind of what he's talking about, and letting these uber-talented young guys leave the program. And it's easy to say with the benefit of hindsight. My hands in the air, we all talked about it, man. They went and signed the number 1 portal class, and we were all excited about Braden Simpson and Trent Caraway and York and Dardar and all the guys they added. Well, with the benefit of hindsight, you let Costello and Mikey Ryan get away. They're starters at first and short. That could have been the right side of your infield this year, and they're having great seasons. I mean, that it could have been, but if you hit on the other guys like you'd hit so many times in the portal, we're not having that conversation. But you miss, and so we have the conversation. But Jay's also rightly pointed out, I mean, the power that left your program after last season was Jared Jones and Ethan Fry, and those were homegrown guys. I mean, those were guys that were high school signees that grew and developed through your program and became great players for you. And that's certainly a path they're going to follow, and William Patrick could be one of those. I fully expect he will be one of your starting outfielders next season. Where at is he, center? I don't know. I mean, there's talk about him playing shortstop. He's a giant shortstop if he played there. But he certainly would stand to reason would be one of your starting outfielders next season. But it is one of the things that's a little uncomfortable when you start talking about the freshmen next season, because on April the 22nd at LSU, we're not used to talking about next season and looking ahead to the final month being sort of a training ground for next year. And there's 12 games to go, and it's a fool's errand to try to throw dirt on LSU at this point with the talent that they have. And you have talented arms in Evans and Schmidt. You're not going to get more back, and now Jake Brown's out. It feels like an improbability of this team winning enough to get into regional play. But certainly it is possible, so we'll continue to follow. But over the final month, that could be the real benefit of this final month, is getting a lot of these young guys reps and AB so you can hit the ground running. And the same is true on the mound. Look, Danny Lockenmeyer was awesome last night. He's been one of the real stories here in the last several weeks. If you didn't see it, Lockenmeyer's final line, he gave you an inning and two. I'm sorry, he gave you an inning and 2/3. He struck out 5. I mean, if you are, he struck out 5 of the 7 hitters he faced. And if you're looking for reason for optimism and projection, you're looking at guys who, out of the bullpen in particular, which struggled so much, are starting to establish themselves. Like Fontenot got the start and gave you 4 innings. The first 3 innings, I think he needed 32 pitches to get through the first 3 innings. I mean, he was cruising. Gave up a 2-run homer in the 4th, but got you through 4 innings on 48 total pitches. Garcia struggled. Benj got you out of the mix there in the 5th. Cooper Williams was awesome. He faced the minimum and struck out 2 in his 1 inning of work. So you're starting to identify the guys that, this is typical of this time of year, where the guys you can count on are emerging or have emerged. It's really just a question of what are you playing for here down the stretch. So, look, the last thing Jay Johnson was asked is about that, about the NCAA tournament, like if that's something that he's talking about with his team.
Yeah, I'm done. Like, the speech thing is over. It's literally like, stop trying to do well and just compete in the game. And where we land is where we land. And it's hard to impress on them. Like, I live for the NCAA tournament. Might be super shallow-minded, but I do. And they know the work that they have to do. They've known for 4 weeks, honestly, to try to create that sense of urgency. But it's really just about how we play.
I don't think it's shallow. I think it's awesome. That's why you want Jay Johnson to be your coach. So 4 weeks to go, 4 SEC weekends to go. See if the Tigers have any type of push in them. Of course, you saw the photo of Jake Brown earlier today, surgery. Lake takes care of the Tigers, and they often say trust isn't given, it's earned. And LSU baseball earns its success pitch by pitch, inning by inning. FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake providers earn trust every day. As LSU's championship health partner, Our Lady of the Lake cares for the defending national champions, keeping the Tigers healthy, strong, and ready to perform all season long. That kind of care starts with a strong team. In fact, FMOL Health was recently recognized by Gallup as an exceptional workplace. It's one of the highest honors for organizations that build engaged teams and a strengths-based culture. So that same team is the one trusted by the Tigers. It's here for families across Louisiana, from sports medicine to pediatrics, heart care to recovery from everyday injuries. Our Lady of the Lake brings championship-level care to the communities they serve. Trust the team that cares for the team you love. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Learn more at ololrmc.com/LSU. All right, y'all, it's after further review. We are glad to have you hanging aboard with us here. We'll talk to Sean Fazan coming up in hour number 3, our buddy from Fox 8, 1 hour from right now. He's at Mickey Loomis's pre-draft press conference, get his takeaways from it. But when we come back, Loomis had his pre-draft press conference, and Tyler Shough was at the Zurich Pro-Am. And both at times today, independent of one another, were asked and talked about the wide receivers in this draft class. So I want to let you hear what they said and maybe what the Saints might be thinking as they embark on the 3-day draft starting on Thursday. Stay with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
Always remind you about Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, title sponsor of our Hump Day shows all throughout the year. YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com. I want to remind you, of course, Goodwood does ED treatments. Tell you that all the time. Maybe you've taken a little blue pill before that hasn't worked, or they do so much more than just the oral medication. They have a lot of different therapies that could work for you. But there's so much more than ED, and primarily, of course, it's hormone replacement therapy. So if you've heard me talk about HRT, maybe you certainly have friends or maybe relatives or coworkers that are on HRT, a simple blood draw. You'll go in, they'll take a few small vials of blood, they'll run your blood labs, which is a great idea anyway to get your blood labs run regularly. I do it twice a year, every 6 months. They could check your hormone levels and let you know if you're a candidate for HRT. That could be the unlock to get you back to feeling the way you did when you were younger. Clear of brain fog, tons of waking energy. Learn more, YourGoodwood.com. Man, I had a great day today. My friends over at River Parish Contractors, over at SNF in Plaquemine. SNF hosted their annual Safety Day 2026. 2-day event, really cool. For a lot of the folks that work at SNF, it's kind of a reward. It was the first time I've been out there, but they had tons of food, even funnel cakes and snowballs and all kind of stuff. It was a reward for I don't want to quote the exact number, but it was over 1 million man hours of work without a safety incident, which is incredible when you think about it. And River Parish Contractors is one of the vendors and contractors that was there, the title sponsor of the annual safety day. So it was great to be out there and get to meet so many and see so many of my friends from River Parish Contractors. Just another reminder of how involved and invested they are at River Parish Contractors into safety and into that community. Check them out online, y'all. It's rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
This week, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is proud to present Dreams Come True during our annual Radiothon, helping grant dreams for children facing life-threatening illnesses. Join us Tuesday, April the 28th for a special power hour, where your donation could also score you an incredible prize pack, including Post Malone tickets, Jazz Fest tickets, a signed Jacob Hester jersey, a signed Matt Flynn's jersey, and Raising Cane swag. Tune in, make a donation, and help us change a child's life during the Dreams Come True Radiothon on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Thanks to First American Bank and Boudreaux's Electrical, along with Chad's Collision, Subaru of Baton Rouge, Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and River Parish Contractors for making it all happen.
To be honest, I trust the front office completely. I'm not super well versed into D-end or interior D-line play, or a lot of those guys, or what makes them, I want to find out what makes those guys tick and be a part of the Saints organization and what kind of culture we're trying to bring. And I think with last year's rookie class and what Kellen and the staff is building is we want the right guys and guys who love to work hard and want to be a part of the New Orleans Saints. So I trust them. I'm exactly like you guys. I'm excited to find out.
That was Tyler Shough at the Zurich Classic Pro-Am talking about the Saints' upcoming draft. Of course, the NFL draft begins on Thursday with round 1, continues Friday with rounds 2 and 3, and then Saturday will be rounds 4 through 7, and the next crop of New Orleans Saints players will officially join the franchise, the organization. The Saints have 8 picks, as we well know. It'll be fascinating to see if they actually make all 8 of those selections or if they wheel and deal like they are wont to do. The Saints made 9 picks a year ago, all 9 of their selections, which is stunning because they just don't do that. They use their draft capital to trade, to move up, and whenever you have a large number of selections, generally speaking, you maybe don't make all those picks because you may not have that many spots on your roster available. So as to say, like, you can take a Sharpie and write Tyler Shough, Kelvin Banks, Tali Ese-Fuaga, Eric McCoy. You get it, right? There's players you can go down like they're on the team. Well, then you go and you look at, all right, well, how many roster spots do you have? Well, if you don't have necessarily 8 or 9 spots available, do you really want to select 8 or 9 players? So that's sort of the thought process behind it. In any event, it stands to reason the Saints are going to pick a receiver somewhere in this draft, a pass catcher, someone to help Tyler Shough and this offense. Chris Olave had a 1,000-yard season this past year for New Orleans. After Chris Olave, it was a wasteland at receiver. When the season was tanking early, it was very evident. They started the yard sale. They shipped Rashid Shaheed up to Seattle. And after Olave, you were talking about Devon Vele, who for the first half of the season was largely ineffective, had a good handful of games before he suffered a season-ending injury. And what else are we talking about? Journeyman, Mason Tipton, who we talk about every year in training camp. I mean, clearly they need to fortify that position. And they're very likely going to do it in this draft because they didn't address receiver in free agency. You could certainly do it after the draft. There could be trades and another number of different ways you could bolster your roster. But using a high draft pick on a dynamic receiver is very likely something that the Saints are going to do. As a matter of fact, right now, if you look at the betting odds, my friends over at DraftKings, we had Johnny Avello on the show with us earlier, the head odds maker at DraftKings, is Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State, as the betting favorite to go number 8 to the New Orleans Saints. So it's not just me and you, it's even the people who make money doing this sort of thing and projecting these sorts of things. And, it's always a fascinating exercise to go through the draft after we have months and months and months in conversation to see what the front office is actually thinking. Because think we all can look at this roster and recognize, yes, they need help at receiver, but they also need help at corner, and they need an edge rusher, and you could probably use safety help. And I mean, when you're picking 8th in the draft, you got a lot of needs. And so the Saints have put themselves in position at 8 where you don't want to be because it means you're bad, but they put themselves in a position to take a good player at a position of need, which is why it's going to be hard to come out of Thursday disappointed. But if it is a receiver, I'll be excited. And Mickey Loomis, when he met with reporters, did discuss the overall wide receiver class.
Look, I think it's good. It's what I said before. There's going to be good players in this draft, no matter what you think about that depth. And it's up to us to get them identified, and then hopefully, we have the opportunity to take those guys. But I do think there's a lot of good receivers in this draft.
Loomis was also asked if they had gotten Tyler Shough's input on this receiver class.
We'll ask any of our players that have a crossover with someone in this draft, and it's always the young guys that played with someone. If they've played with someone, we talk to them about hey, what kind of guy is he? How did he learn? How did he practice? So we ask questions of all our guys. It wasn't just Tyler. It's everybody on our team that has a crossover with a player that's in this draft that we may have an interest in.
Well, the one very obvious crossover with Tyler Shough is Chris Bell. We've talked about him a ton. The Saints brought him in for a top 30 visit. If you're not familiar, he's a guy that would have been a surefire first-round pick in this draft. He tore his ACL. Very serious knee injury. Not sure about his availability, how much that'll heal. It's why the medical is so important. But the Saints brought him in for a top 30 visit. But that's one of the reasons I like Chris Bell a lot is you're talking about a productive, big-bodied receiver who has a rapport and a relationship with this quarterback who you're building around. It's not a new take. We've talked about it plenty. But Shough at the Zurich was asked about Chris Bell.
One of my close friends, obviously my guy, and he brings a level of physicality, I think, for any team that's really hard to replicate. And I think it would be great for sure. But I know I'm fired up to be back here right now. And I mean, the wide receivers that we do have that we've signed so far, it's exciting to see those guys work too.
Now, Shough was also asked about the rest of the wide receiver class. I'm going to get to in just a second. But I'll draw a comp, and I do this hesitantly because I don't want you to think this is the exact comp I'm making. But when the Cincinnati Bengals drafted Joe Burrow, the next year, most everyone thought Cincinnati was going to be looking offensive line. And that was the draft with Penei Sewell. And the thought was select Joe Burrow's franchise left tackle. Select the guy that's going to protect his blind side for the next decade. After he'd had his knee exploded in his rookie season. And what did they do? They drafted Jamar Chase. And that wasn't a bad pick. I mean, Jamar Chase is arguably the best receiver in the NFL. But Joe and Jamar, great friends, had that rapport. They got a dynamic, elite-level weapon that elevated their quarterback, who they knew was going to be their franchise. So you heard Mickey Loomis say they'll ask any player that has a relationship with a prospect about him. You heard Shough say he's one of my close friends talking about Chris Bell. There's the injury question, and there's risk-reward. So where in the draft are you willing to pull the trigger on Chris Bell? At 42? That might be ambitious considering the injury. But it's almost certain he's not going to be there at 73. So is it a situation where maybe you start to package picks to move up for another second-round pick for Chris Bell? Do you take him at 42? Well, that obviously depends on what you do at 8. If you take a receiver at 8, then you're not taking Chris Bell at 42. You're not trading up for Chris Bell later in the second round. But it does give you the option, if you don't pull the trigger on a receiver at 8, you go best defensive player available, whoever that may be. Maybe it's Bain from Miami. Maybe it's Caleb Downs if he's on the board. Maybe it's Mansour Delane. Interestingly enough, when we talked to Johnny Avello from DraftKings earlier today, his projection for Mansour Delane would be that he would fall outside of the top 10, so maybe that's not as likely. Although, if you look at the odds, Tyson is the betting favorite to be the Saints pick at 8. The next highest odds is Mansour Delane. So the dominoes in the draft start to fall. There's trades. Things always happen that we don't anticipate. So we'll start to watch how it all plays out. But there's a couple of scenarios that feel realistic. Either the Saints go receiver at 8, or they go best defensive player at 8, and then a guy like Chris Bell could very well be on the board for the Saints at 42. One more from Tyler Shough. He was asked if he'd done his homework on this receiver draft class.
I've watched almost all of their film from college, and obviously curiosity, and I think all of those guys that have elite level play. I think that's the biggest thing, at least from what I've seen from all over the draft board. I think there's a lot of talent. So I think, but at the same time, we got guys that Devon Bela and Jalen Polk I've been throwing with this whole offseason who are studs. I mean, they're studs, man, and CO's been working the whole time with me and as well. So I'm really excited to kind of get the ground running with those guys, and then obviously if we get somebody, that'd be great. But if not, we feel really great about it, and I know the staff and everybody's feeling great, and we got a plan to keep going.
Fele and Polk are obviously coming off of injury. Stands to reason that if you're going Chris Bell, there'd be another receiver coming off of injury. Do you want that type of question mark in that room, which is so important in this pivotal year for Tyler Shough? Remains to be seen. It's why the Saints are one of the real fascinating storylines on the first day of the draft. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. Love driving my Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport every single day. Every day I take Drew to school, I strap him into his car seat, and I have that peace of mind and security knowing that every day when I'm on the road hauling that precious cargo, I'm in one of the safest vehicles on the road. If it's a vehicle for you, for your spouse, maybe you have a graduating high school senior, a first-time driver, or a college graduate in your family, you want to buy them that vehicle that they'll love to drive, that's stylish but is also affordable and safe, Volkswagen is perfect. Highest safety designation that you can earn. All of their models have earned it from the IIHS. You can always get a great deal. You can go work out your financing online at SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com, and go test drive one today. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer is South Point Volkswagen. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Okay, y'all, we are halfway home on this Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Thanks for hanging out with us. Sean Fazand in 45 minutes. I do want to remind you, tomorrow's show, we will be out at LSU on the parade grounds. Our entire lineup from Off the Bench 7 to 10, the Hunt Palmer Show from 1 to 3, AFR from 3 to 6. We'll be out at the parade grounds on Thursday at LSU for the swab event, as we hope to find a match for Kate Hargett, who's an 11-year-old who needs a bone marrow transplant, and they're still looking for a donor. So we got all the info on our website at 1045ESPN.com, at LouisianaSports.net, on all of our social media. So please go check it out and participate and help if you can as we try to find Kate's match. We'll be out there helping spread the good word tomorrow and hopefully encourage a lot of people to come and get swabbed. All right. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Interestingly enough, college football season is over, as you know, but the offseason is when a lot of the legislative events around college football get debated. Well, an expanded college football playoff is probably the most preeminent conversation around college football, not involving NIL and money and all that sort of stuff. And it looks like coaches and administrators are starting to come to a consensus. And we'll talk about that when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about River City's 1 Hour Air. They've been awesome to us for so many years. You know how if you open up your phone and the photos, it'll show like memories in your if you have an iPhone, I don't know if Androids do that, but it'll show like memories. I had one pop up on my phone the other day. It was 8 years ago, and it was a photo of a River City's 1 Hour van outside of the front of my house. I must have taken a picture to share on social media or something like that. But for as long as Eric and I have been married, we got married in January of 2012, so 14 years, we've been River City's 1 Hour Air customers, and we've been part of their membership club. I pay that money out of my own wallet. Eric and I do every year, and I recommend you do it too. Because when you're part of their membership club, it comes with several things. Number one, the seasonal maintenance is complimentary. So when I tell you about the preseason AC tune-up or the heater safety check, they call you to schedule, and it's totally free, no catch when you're a member. You get membership pricing and front-of-the-line service. It's totally worth it. Do it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001. 752-0001.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
All right, rolling along. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 4400. We've had this conversation on and off for well over a year now about the future of the college football playoff. Is it going to be 16? Is it going to be 24? And it seems to be this battle royale between the SEC and the Big Ten. Greg Sankey and the SEC favor a 16-team playoff. Tony Petitti and the Big Ten, they want to go to 24. So I would love a 24-team playoff where there are no automatic bids at all. It's just the top 24 teams as determined by, I would choose, a power ranking system. I don't know that that's realistic, but I think we do it in other sports, and 24 is a large enough sample to where you're going to get the top 24 teams or 24 most deserving teams in. And the counter argument is always, well, you're watering down the regular season, or if you're going to have the same problem because if you put in 24, then team 25 is going to complain. And I will tell you that I don't care about team 25 at all. If you're there, then you don't have much of an argument. It's like team 70, 71, 72 in the NCAA men's tournament. Do better. I don't care. What I do care about is when you don't have an equitable schedule in college football, which you don't, and you have a small number of playoff teams get in that are not as deserving as teams that play a tougher schedule but don't have as good of a record. We see it all the time. 2 years ago, that was Indiana. They were 11-1. They played two ranked teams, got their ass kicked by both of them. But they were 11-1, so they got in. Tulane, James Madison. Like, these teams do not need to be taking college football playoff spots. No shade to Tulane. I love John Summerall, great coach. Thought they had a great season. It is patently absurd that Tulane is in the college football playoff. And a 10-2 team from the SEC was not. It's absurdity. Let Tulane play an SEC schedule. How does that go? They're not in the playoff. We all know it. Same with James Madison. It's not just those schools. It was Boise State a year ago. It's this conversation that's as old as this conversation. You get to 24, say, okay, it'll be one of the 24 best teams in the country. If you're one of the 24 best, which I think Tulane or James Madison could have made an argument for that a year ago, or Boise 2 years ago. Sure. Okay. You want to be the 24th team in and play the 1 seed on the road? I mean, if you're worthy of that, okay. What I don't like is just gifting playoff spots to people. There's also the conversation about watering down the regular season. I think it's the exact opposite. I think it actually incentivizes teams to schedule tough games. If you have a power rating component of it, a strength of schedule component, it incentivizes good matchups instead of loading up your schedule with garbage that fans don't want to see just to get wins. And I think it would rectify the regular season, get rid of meaningless conference championship games. Meaningless conference championship games. You play a conference schedule, determine your champion. Like, we don't have an NFC South championship game because you play the schedule and the team with the best record won the division. What if there's a tie? Figure out the tiebreaker, like everybody else in the history of ever has done. Again, this isn't hard. But what's interesting is there's meetings scheduled for this week in Dallas at the Ritz-Carlton in Las Colinas. We put up the drywall at the new McDonald's. That's an Office Space reference for those who got it. So the 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bavacca are going to discuss expansion of the college football playoff. And we know what the two sides that are conflicting here with the SEC and the Big Ten. But it sounds like there's more, like, it sounds like the 24-team playoff is gaining some steam. So Chris Lowe has a piece up at On3, a Big Ten athletic director, said, quote, SEC folks would go to 24 now. Greg has a mixed room he has to manage. And by the way, that makes sense. If you're an SEC head coach and you just went to 9 games and the playoff hasn't expanded, you just created instability for your job security because half of the SEC is guaranteed another loss now with a 9-game schedule. So, yeah, I get why they would want an expanded playoff. Okay, we'll play a tougher schedule if we still have access to the playoff. Also, they try to end the season no later than January 8th or 10th. I love this. You start week 0. You play up until New Year's. You could have the championship game on – you have the semifinals on New Year's Day, and the championship game could be a week later. Love it. Easy. Sankey did talk to On3, saying he believes the playoff should expand. I think I said that. Still thinks 16 is the right number. We know that Yahoo, Ross Dellinger, reported a day ago that the presidential committee is, as he wrote, quote, coalescing around 24, meaning the presidents who ultimately are going to vote on this are starting to get on board with 24, and it sounds like some coaches are falling in line there as well. Kirby Smart said, I'd split it right down the middle. Most coaches are going to say more is better than less, but I can live with either one of those two. I don't think there's a huge difference. Again, you're starting to see some concession here. Josh Heupel told On3 that with the way college football is changing, 24 teams, quote, probably makes the most sense. Steve Sarkisian also said, I was adamant in our meeting, if we're not going to go to 16, I'd rather go back to 4. And then, so again, like he wants more than less. Trying to think of it. I'm looking quickly. Kalen DeBoer said, you want to make every game in the regular season as meaningful as possible. I think there's easy math to figure out how to make it work for 16 for sure. A little more complicated beyond that, but 24 is something we should be looking at. Again, you're seeing concessions. You're hearing concessions. Not necessarily, let's go do this, I'm for it, but it's not absolutely not adamantly opposed. And if the answer isn't no, then ultimately you can get to a yes. It's just what steps do you have to take to get to that yes? No is absolute. No is multiplying by 0. It's always going to be 0, no matter how big the other number is. What you're hearing from all these coaches, Chris Lowe also quoted Eli Drinkwitz and Mike Elko, Ryan Day. The answer from all of these coaches is not no. It's, I might prefer something else, but this could work. That's not my favorite idea, but I get it. I think we could see it. I'd rather expand than go backwards. Like, what you're hearing are a lot of maybes. And when there's maybes, then it's the job of the decision makers, of those doing the selling, to make those people comfortable with the decision. And I'm telling you from the SEC's perspective, the thing that is driving this is the 9-game schedule, which has already been decided upon. Because this is going to be a very uncomfortable season around the Southeastern Conference. Because you expanded your conference schedule, you guaranteed half your league an extra loss, and the playoff didn't expand. And that's something Greg Sankey said all along they didn't want to do. They didn't want to expand the league schedule without expansion of the college football playoff or guaranteed access and more money in the TV contract. Well, they're going to get more money in the TV contract, but after losing the last 3 national championships and watching the Big Ten hoist the trophy, you're sitting here looking at a scenario where it's going to be very uncomfortable in the Southeastern Conference for a lot of teams that get hung a 9-3 when a year ago that would have been a 10-2 and in the playoff. And it's going to force this action toward change and toward an expanded playoff, which I'm for. Yes, give me a 24-team playoff. Give me 1 versus 24 and 2 versus 23 and 3 versus 22 and give me 2 weeks of on-campus games. I hate the stupid bowl game tie-ins, but if you want to keep those, you can do that as well. I'd rather all be on campus until you get to the national championship. But yes, give me more meaningful football throughout the regular season and a playoff that actually matters. Yes, give me that. I mean, we're going to get there. We've been talking about this for years here, about how we're going to get there. It's an inevitability because those that are driven by money are going to make the money work, and it's where we're going. It's where we're headed. And all of these decisions are financially driven for one reason or another, but especially now in the NIL rev share era, they've got to create more revenue. The easiest way to do that is drive TV contracts in college football. Well, how do you do that? More games. What's more lucrative? The college football playoff. So they're going to keep adding games. And they should, and it's going to be better for all of us. I promise you. I've been talking about this for more than a decade. It's going to be okay. For those wailing and gnashing of teeth, those melting down, just like 4 didn't kill college football, 12 didn't kill college football, 24 ain't going to kill college football. It's going to make it better. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Mother's Day is right around the bend. Gents, thrill mom with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. That's the website. LMFJ.com. You can always shop them online or pop into any of the Lee Michaels locations, 9 of them, in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, or online at lmfj.com. Timeless pieces from designers like David Yurman, Mickey Moto. There's something beautiful for every budget, all waiting inside that little red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Visit them online at lmfj.com. Okay, y'all, it's After Further Review. You want to weigh in, you can. Email us, tweet us, text us. You can text me, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you get involved in the show. You can text our station line as well at 499-1045. Well, now I got a quick break. We'll wrap up hour number 2. Musil do Tigers and the Pros next.
AFR.
Buying or selling commercial or residential, call Darren James. I love this testimonial that I got from Darren, this gentleman who wrote a Google review. Said, man, been listening to Matt Moscona for 11 years, been hearing him talk about Darren James, and when it came time to sell my home, I called somebody else. And my home sat on the market for a year. Finally stopped being stupid. I called Darren James. The first person, the first showing that Darren had, bought the house. A home that had sat with another realtor for a year. Y'all, the numbers don't lie. Darren James in the Wall Street Journal's list top 1% of realtors in America. He's number 13 in the country last year. That's volume. That's total number of properties closed. If you need to sell your home, call the realtor that sells more homes than anybody. He's got to be doing something right. Oh, you'll find out from one phone call. Agent225.com. Agent225.com.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Thanks for hanging out with us here. We are presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Muso, Tigers and the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Pretty darn good night for Tari Eason in game number 2 of the Rockets playoff series against the Lakers. Of course, Western Conference first round in full swing now. 27 minutes for Eason off the bench. Put forth 10 points and 8 boards, so a near miss there on the double-double. Also had a blocked shot in the ball game as well. Wasn't the best shooting night from the floor, but 2 3-pointers really brought his scoring night full circle, helped him kind of make up some of the slack there. Lakers did get the win. They lead that series 2-0. Trendon Watford did not play in the Sixers game 2 against the Celtics. A healthy scratch, coach's decision there on that one. Looking ahead, the next time Tigers are in action in the NBA playoffs is Naz Reid. That is tomorrow night. Should have stayed. The Nuggets and the Timberwolves, that series is tied 1-1. Major League Baseball, Josh Smith. There it is. Look at this guy. 1 for 2 with a single. 1 for 2 with a single in the Rangers' 5-1 win. Did drive in a run and came around to score himself. Reached base another time with a walk. The Rangers got the win in that one, 5-1. Of course, NFL draft is tomorrow. Tigers expecting to have 1 first-rounder. That'd be Mansour Delane. See where he lands. Of course, you heard Johnny Avello earlier on here. It could fall out of the top 10. Probably doesn't get past mid-teens, though. Does Mansour Delane. We'll obviously keep you posted there. Any update tomorrow on Delane, and obviously Friday after he's drafted. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com. Remember, this is industrial Generac generator power. Talk about them every single day. And, man, they have such a big footprint as well. This is a Generac industrial generator for your business, your industrial facility, municipalities, schools, hospitals, doctors' offices, gas stations, grocery stores, radio stations, literally any business. If you need a generator for your business, you need Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, ARCCO. They're really such an amazing front line for our communities when storms come. They've literally had government, military Black Hawk helicopters pick up their guys to dispatch them to go get power on in places. Arco.com, ARCCO, everything's turnkey. They sell, service, install, rent your Generac industrial generator. Arco.com, ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Glad you are with us here on this Wednesday edition of AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Tomorrow, of course, is Thursday. It's first round of the draft. A lot of people have asked, we are not having our customary draft party that we do every year over at in our live stream that we do, because we committed to doing the swab event for Team Kate tomorrow. Our resources are stretched, but this was just such a worthwhile thing to do. So apologies for those that were looking forward to it. We always love being at Don Juan for the draft, but we'll pick a different day, and we'll be back at Don Juan for a different event. But we will not be at Don Juan for the draft party. We'll not have a live stream during the draft tomorrow. But we're excited to be out at LSU for the swab event. Hope to find 11-year-old Kate Hargett her match to get a bone marrow donor and save that young girl's life. Way more important. So that's where we'll be tomorrow. All right, we're glad you're aboard with us here. SportsCenter's coming up. Stick around. Hour 3 of AFR is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shough Tire and Auto Service. ShaughBillsTire.com. ShaughBillsTire.com. Locations all over South Louisiana. Remember, if you need tires, and let's be honest, nobody wants to buy tires. We need to buy tires, because if you want your vehicle to go, you got to have tires. So tires are a commodity, man. You can get the same exact thing anywhere. You can get Bridgestone or Michelin, Firestone, BF Goodrich, Toyo. You can get those same tires anywhere. So how do you choose where to go? Go to a place that's going to sell you the best tires at the cheapest price and is going to treat you like family. Well, that's been Shough Bills since 1968. Remember, go to the website, hit the promotions tab. You can see all their dealer specials, how they're going to get you the best price. If you buy tires at Shough Bills and then you find them advertised cheaper somewhere else, they'll refund you 125% of the difference. It's Shough Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShaughBillsTire.com. ShaughBillsTire.com since 1968. Shough Bills, we keep you rolling.